Hey, everybody. This is Tom Painter again. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We're going to be talking about the simplicity of investing. Now, in order to be able to do that, I want to show you some really cool pieces because, there's a concept that says that if it's too hard to figure out on the back of an envelope, it's too hard. The goal is to simplify and multiply. So I want to talk to you a little bit about investing. So we're going to go to the notebook here and show you how to do that. Now, in order to be able to really get this, it's got to fit on the back of an envelope. So I'm going to show you the 5 steps, and then we're going to get really into the wealth formula to show you how that wealth formula works. So now step number 1 is that you need to make more money. You need to make more money. Every one of you is going to make, manage, and spend between $1 and $10 million in your lifetime. Number 2 is you need to separate into 3 groups. You need to take your money, we're going to separate it into 3 groups. Now, the first group is, number 3 is to give to church and charity. Okay, so as you take your money, we're going to put it into 3 groups. The first one is church and charity. Number 4 is to automatically invest. And then number 5 is to save and spend. Those are the 5 steps. Now, what we're going to talk about is number 4, and this is the wealth formula. Now, the wealth formula is very, very simple. You take money on a weekly, monthly basis times time. We need to do this for a while. We need to do it over time. Times have a go up in value. That equals wealth. So now how do you do that? How do you do the system? Well, number 1 is you got to figure out how to make more money. And most people, the only way they make money is with their job. What we need is a small business or a side hustle or real estate or other things that you can do. And we're going to take that extra money and it's all going to go down here into that number to the wealth formula, number 4. If you're working with an MLM, a multi-level marketing company, we took all the money that we made because, we have the 2 special needs children. And so we took that money and we put it down into the wealth formula. We separated and automatically put it there. We had a job that made us enough money to be able to live. And that money came in and we did some automatic investing. But the way we really kicked it off and made it go faster was that we created all kinds of small businesses. We had internet business, real estate business, other kinds of businesses. And as it made money, it all went down here into the wealth formula. The way you want to become very financially independent is to be able to do this as fast as you can. Now, where do you put the money? Everybody is so freaked out about the simplicity of investing. The simplicity of investing. Where do I invest? I'm so confused. I watch TV and I hear all this crazy stuff. And, the world is coming to an end. Everything is doom and gloom and things like that. And so we need to find a simple way to be able to do our long-term investing. And the way you do that is you study successful people. You study the people that are doing it and don't listen to all the noise. Remember, all the noise you're hearing on social media, their purpose is to get your eyeballs to watch what they're doing so that they can sell products. When you're watching TV, all the news, usually it's bad. Why is it bad? Because bad news gets people's attention. You're driving on the freeway and there's an accident. Everybody's looking at that accident. Well, one person had an accident and 100,000 cars went by that same place that did not. Okay, but we look at the bad stuff. Let's look at the good stuff. And then let's look at the simplicity. Now, when you're going to do your investing, you're going to invest in 2 or 3 different places. You're going to put it into 2 or 3 different places. One of those places is going to be in the stock market. Some of that's going to be into real estate. Some of it's going to be into small businesses. So the wealth formula that we get into is going to come down here, and we're going to say, well, where are you going to take your money? Well, let's talk a little bit about asset allocation. Where's your money going to go? So as you're making money in the wealth formula, where are we going to put it? Well, we're going to put some of it into stock. We're going to put some of it into real estate. We're going to put some of it into our small business. We're going to keep adding to our small business. And so these are places that we're going to invest. We're going to put money in there all the time, times have it go up in value. That equals wealth. But what I want to talk about right now is I want to talk about the stock market just for a few minutes. And the reason that I want you to start investing in the stock market is because I want you to start learning about businesses. Now, I had a wonderful conversation with a 9-year-old yesterday, and he actually has been going through our classes, and his mom's friends with my daughter. And so they come over and interviewed me. And then I had him and I taught them about the systems we use. And he goes, well, how do you talk to me about the stock market? I don't get it. So I'm teaching a 9-year-old about long-term stock. Well, how do we make that work? Well, first of all, it has to be simple. It has to be very simple. So let's talk about the stock market for just 1 second. What is the stock market? Well, the stock market is a group of companies. Now, you can own your own little business, and you own all of that business. That business's job is to make a profit. When you invest in the stock market, we're not gambling. We're not trying to guess which way it's going. We're not going to Vegas and rolling the ball and trying to figure out how to do all that stuff. What we're trying to do is to find long-term investments of companies that are going to make money over time. That's what we do. And so when we invest in things like the stock market, we're investing in businesses. We're investing in businesses. That's what we're doing. We're not gambling. We're not picking and choosing. We're not trying to figure out if it's going to be red or black. We're not trying to figure out if it's going to go up or down. What we're doing is trying to determine which companies that we like, that we think are going to go and make profits going forward. We're looking for the predictability of profits. And so let's talk about the stock market just for a second. And again, when you're investing in the stock market, you get to own a little bit of these companies. Just like if you had your own store or your own little company, you own all of that. Well, the stock market is just owned by a lot of different people. So now when you get into the stock market, just remember when we're doing stock, and again, stock is small business. Stock is, when you invest in the stock market, you're investing in businesses. All right. We're not trying to guess which way the bouncing ball goes. What we're trying to do is invest in businesses that have been around. And the longer they've been around, the better. Everybody says, well, I want to get into the ground floor. Well, the ground floor is usually underground. What you want to do is you want to get into businesses that have proven their concept, that have market share, that have a moat around them, that it's really hard to knock them off. You know, Warren Buffett says that if I had $100 billion, I couldn't knock Coca-Cola off where it's at. It's been around. It's been around for 100 years or more. And people like it. They love their Coke. Even so much when they changed the name of Coke and went to a new formula, they had revolution. People revolted. That's what you're looking for, people that love your product. So let's talk about this for a second. And so when you go into the stock market, there's 4 different ways that you can invest in the stock market. Number 1 is to pick and choose. That means you get to pick and choose which of the different companies that you like, that you would like to invest in. Number 2 is that you can hire someone, hire a manager. We call that a mutual fund. And you're paying a manager. Number 3 is what we call an index. And then number 4, which is one of my favorites, is Berkshire Hathaway, BRK.B. That's the stock symbol. Now, let's talk about these 4 different ones for just a second and give you an overview of what they are. Pick and choose is, hey, you get to pick and choose which company you like. Now, asset allocation, if you want to take 5 to 10% of your net worth and you pick and choose what you want, that's great. But the problem is most people pick wrong. By the time it's news to you, it's old news. You've got to buy on the rumor and you don't know what the rumors are. And it takes time and energy. You don't have time to do it. You know, take a small amount. And if you like Coca-Cola or something else, take a small amount. And then when you're smarter than Warren Buffett and you're smarter than the 500 biggest companies in America, then you can take more of your money and spend more money on your pick and choose. Now, when you look at the stock market, there are thousands and thousands of companies that are publicly traded. That means that you can own a small portion of those. And, there's all these different companies that are out there. And picking and choosing and saying, hey, I like this one, and I like this one, and I like this one, and I like this one. And you pick and choose the different companies you like. Now, a mutual fund is very similar to that, but a mutual fund, the difference is, here's all these companies. A professional manager is going to say, we're going to invest in these three, and we're going to invest in these two, and we're going to do these. And they pick and choose for you. Okay. Now, an index is like the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies in America. Now, the difference is there's just 500 of them, and they're 500 by size. And they're the 500 largest, biggest companies in America. That's the S&P 500. And there are some management, but the people aren't making any decisions. They're just investing in those 500 biggest companies. Berkshire Hathaway is one of my favorites. And what it is, it's a stock, but it acts like an index because they own a lot of companies. They have all kinds of companies that they own and long-term investments that they do. So as you look at the 4 ways, pick and choose, you get to pick and choose what you want. Hey, I like this company, I like that company. And again, take a small percentage of your profit, of your money, and put that in there. Number 2 is you hire a manager, a mutual fund, and they're picking and choosing for you. Number 3 is it's an index. It's the 500 biggest companies in America. It's just an index. And they're not just making decisions on it. They just know it's the 500 biggest companies by size. And then number 4 is Berkshire Hathaway, which is a wonderful company. It's an insurance company that's been around for decades and decades. And Warren Buffett has built this company, and he has all these wonderful managers that manage all these big, big companies for them. And as an insurance company, as an insurance company makes a profit, they invest in companies. As an insurance brings money in, they sit on that money until they have to pay it out for a claim. And so they've got billions and billions of dollars doing that. So those are the 4 ways to be able to do it. Now, the key, though, and the problem is that you look at fees. You're going to look at the fees of stuff. That's one thing. What are the fees people are going to charge you to do that? And number 2, are you any good at it? The problem with picking and choose is that it takes time and energy. It takes time and energy for you to be able to do that. Most people don't do very well when they pick and choose. They just don't do very well. Me included. And I've lost a fortune picking and choosing. Number 2 is you hire a manager. The only problem with hiring a manager is the fees they cost you. So if you make a 6% rate of return and they're going to charge you 2% of that, your net is 4%. So the fees are really high. An index is very similar, but they're not picking and choosing. They're not deciding anything. So if you make that same 6% and their cost is less than 1%, you're going to make a much higher rate of net to you. Okay. So the fees in many cases, and you're going to say, well, and you got to read the small print. They were making a profit someplace. Okay. They're saying, well, they're not going to charge us any money to do this. It's free. Everybody's making money on you one way or another. If you don't know how they're making money on you, then you need to do some more research. You go take your money in the bank and you say, well, the bank is so nice. They're doing all these things for me. They're just doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're not. They're taking your money and they're reloaning it out to somebody else, and they're making the profit on it. They're taking your money and reloaning it back to you on a credit card, making a huge profit on it. Look and see how they're making their money. So in this case, if you got professional people that are managing your money for you, you can see that if this one did the same rate of return, made 6%, and they take 2% of that, well, you just lost 33% of your profit in fees. And you got to dig deep. They all have some kind of fees just to manage it. This one, the fees are a lot less because they're not picking and choosing. They're just saying, hey, we're just taking the 500 biggest. And then, of course, the index is something like Berkshire Hathaway, which is a stock. The cost to buy it is small. It's like buying a stock, the very small cost. And there's 0 fees for you to be able to manage it. So over time, this one and this one have gone to battle with each other on which is the most profitable over time. Now, over time, Berkshire Hathaway, over a long period of time, has outperformed the S&P 500. Some years, the S&P 500 has outperformed Berkshire Hathaway. So as you're doing your asset allocation, you're going to say, well, I want to put some of my percent of it here. I want to put some percent here. Maybe I'll put some percent here and maybe a little bit here. But the vast majority of my percent is going to be right there in those two bigger ones. Why? Because over time, remember, we're doing this over a period of time. We're not doing this. We're not trying to do this and make a quick buck. Now, if you want to make a quick buck and you're really good at picking and choosing, go do that. But it takes time and energy. And what I found is that I'm willing to risk my money, but I'm not willing to risk my money and my time. So that's why I want to be able to take my time and build businesses that make me more money and then get that down into step number 4, which is the long-term automatically investing. So as you come back to your chart, over time, these two do the best. This one over a long period of time has outperformed the S&P 500. Some years the S&P 500 outperforms it. These two do better than this one. Why? Because of the fees that you're being charged. And the vast majority of people lose money when they pick and choose. They buy the wrong time, they pick at the wrong time. But if you want to say, hey, I like to pick and choose, well, good. We'll take 10% of your money that you're investing. Let's say that you got $100 that you're going to invest in here. And we're going to say, okay, of that $100, I'm going to take 10% of it. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to take another 10%. I've probably got a good idea of where I can, that we're going to put it in here into the index. And I'm going to take 40% of it and put it here. And I'm going to take the other 40% and put it here. That's called asset allocation. So as you think about your asset allocation, you're saying, well, pick and choose. Here's pick and choose. And then here's the mutual fund. And then this one is the index. And then this one is Berkshire Hathaway. BRK is the stock symbol on it. And again, if you want to do that, take 10% of your money, put it there. Take 10% of it, put it there. Take 40%, put it there. Maybe 40%, put it there. That's what we call asset allocation. Now, while we're talking about that, let's talk about the roller coaster of the stock market. Okay, let's talk about the roller coaster of the stock market. The stock market goes up and it goes down. Why? Because of supply and demand. Supply and demand is what creates and makes stuff go up and down. So let's talk about that for a second. What is supply and demand? Well, it's very simple. He who has the supply makes the demand. So if I've got everything and you want it, I get to demand what I want out of it. Okay? So here's supply and demand. And so what are the things that you have? Well, you have stock. And inside stock, you have all kinds of different companies. You have bonds. You're going to either loan or own. You're either going to own, you're going to either loan money to somebody or you're going to own. What are you doing with bonds? When you put money into your savings account, you are loaning money to the bank. When you put it into a CD, you're loaning money into the bank for a longer period of time. Okay? When you're loaning money to a company as a bond or a school district, you're loaning money. This is owning. You have real estate. You have crypto. You got cash. Now, supply and demand, why do things go up and why do things go down? Well, it all depends on where the money's going. Where is the money going? Supply and demand. Okay, you know, it's all supply and demand. If I have 5 pens, just like this one, I got 5 of these pens right here. In fact, there's 5 of them right here. I got 5 of these pens right here. There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them right there. And there is 10 people that want those pens. The price is going to go up. I've only got 5 of them and 10 of you want it. That gets into a bidding war. But if I've only got one guy that is interested in those pens, then these pens go down in value because he gets to pick and choose which one he wants, and somebody's willing to spend and to sell it at a lower price. So now how does that equate with real estate and other things? Well, it's all supply and demand. Where's the money going? Okay, when stocks were hot, money was going out of cash and going here. It was going out of loans and going there. Okay, so what happened? The value of stock would go up. Real estate, when interest rates were really low, money was going from here, and they were taking all that money and putting it into long-term real estate because they could borrow money at very low prices. Okay. Crypto, when crypto is really hot, a lot of people are chasing it, then the value of it goes up. So it's really, where's the money going? Now the interest rates have gone up, and so the demand is lower for real estate, and people are taking their money out of there and they're putting it over here into what they call safe havens. They're trying to put it into cash or someplace else, long-term bonds, because they feel like that is more and it's safer. So now over time, you're going to be in a roller coaster. We call it the roller coaster of investing. So here's the roller coaster. If you're going to be in the roller coaster is going to go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. Even stuff like Berkshire Hathaway sometime is going to lose a big percentage of its value. It's not losing the value. The business really didn't change. What changed was the perception. And do they have more buyers or do they have more sellers? So over time, you can see the stock market goes up and it kind of goes down. But over time, it's going to be worth more in the future than it is today. So that is the stock market. Now, the bond market, the loaning side of it is just going to be solid. You're just going to get a rate of return. The problem is your rate of return is probably going to be low. It might be 2%. It might be 3%. Over time, the stock market's averaged around an 8% rate of return. Okay, so a bond, this is the merry-go-round. This is the merry-go-round, and it's solid. The merry-go-round is solid, solid, solid. You're going to get a 5% rate of return, put your money in here, leave it for 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is, and it's just going to be solid. But it's going to be low rate of return. Now, if you don't mind a low rate of return, if you want to sleep at night and you want it more solid, then you're going to invest more into loans. You're going to do more of that. But if you don't mind the roller coaster, then that's why you're going to put it into stock. The same is true with real estate. You know, we don't look at the value of real estate on a daily basis or monthly basis. We don't look at the value on a farm. We just look at how much money it's making and is it going to make more money in the future. So that's one of the reasons we invest in real estate. We buy real estate. We have renters that come in and those renters rent that from us. They pay us rent. We pay our expenses out of it. We pay the loans. And over time, the values of those pieces of real estate have gone up. I'll just give you one example of what happened to one of the things that we've done. So this goes back to your supply and demand sorting. But in real estate, for example, we're going to buy a piece of real estate and then we're going to rent that out. And I'll just give you one example of how we found it and funded the foundation. We started buying real estate for $250,000 is the purchase price on that. And we made a small down payment on that, but basically we borrowed that from the bank. And every month we had rental income coming in, many people paying us rent. And then we had expenses going out, a mortgage, water, gas, whatever it is. And hopefully we're making a small profit every month. But what happened was that over time, all these loans got paid off down to zero. Over time, it took 25 years, but all those loans got paid down to zero. The value of that stock went up. It doubled in value. We use the rule of 72. You take 72 and you divide the rate of return into it. So if things are going up at 3%, it's going to take 24 years, or 3 times 24 equals 72. 72 is the magic number. That's how long it takes for something to double in value. If your stock is going up at 6%, 6 times 12 equals 72. So it takes, at 6%, it takes 12 years for it to double in value. So in here, these went from 250 to 500,000. and we owe 0 on them. So all of this is profit. That's one of the reasons that we get into real estate, is for the long-term profit. Now, it's going to take years to do that. So you're either going to farm it, which is you're going to keep it in rental units, or we're going to flip it. And there's really the 5 F's. You need to find good deals. You need to fund them. You need to figure out how you're going to buy them. You probably have to fix them. Fix what's wrong. It could be perception. It could be cleanup. It could be whatever. It could be financing. Fix whatever's wrong. And then you're going to either flip it, we're going to turn around, sell it to somebody else, or we're going to farm it and make money on a monthly basis. And so that's real estate. We're going to talk more about that, but that's going to be part of your portfolio. And as you're doing real estate, for example, you can own rental units. You can own them. And I've done that most of my adult life. You can also buy what we call a REIT. That is a stock. So just like on the stocks that you can buy, you can invest in what we call a REIT, and you can invest in companies that's what they do, is they do big commercial properties, and they borrow money from organizations, or they sell stock in it, and you can own part of real estate without having to actually go do anything with the real estate. So that's the section on investing. Thank you so much for watching. Simply go to successmoneyfoundation.org. Get a free membership. When you get those free memberships, you can go through all these wonderful classes. We have some great classes just on real estate. And remember, we're a charity, we're a foundation. Our goal is to make a difference in your life. So this has been Tom Painter. Thanks so much for watching, and go make a difference.